Hello, my friend. I had a completely different video planned for today, but one of the things that I was planning on comparing to another thing didn't come to my house, and it looks like it might be lost in the mail. So I had to very quickly switch gears. I had done a brush chats video, I think it was like 2020 or something like that, and I never did another one. So I figured I needed something easy and quick that I could do, and I also wanted to give you something of value. And I know there are so many people like me that have an intense fear of the dentist and going to the dentist because of a traumatic experience. So I wanted to share with you my experience and the things that I've been doing that have been helping me get over my fear, because we all know taking care of our teeth and going to the dentist is really important, but that fear can really get in the way. So that's what we're gonna be talking about today while I do my makeup. Strange video, but let's go with it. Hang tight, we're getting into it right now. All right, so I'm gonna put my mirror on. Woo! Okay, all right, that's good. That's not obnoxious at all. And I'm gonna put the bear ears on for a little bit of levity. And let's go ahead and zoom in and get this makeup going. I thought today I would just do like my general no makeup look that I do. Of course, I use a variety of products for when I wanna do no makeup days, but this is just kind of one option that I've been doing lately. Figured I would do that just to kind of break up the story a little bit and make it a little less stressful. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the Jones Road What the Foundation. So while I stir this peanut butter-like foundation, let's talk about my trauma, shall we? I never had a fear of the dentist. My whole life, I've had cavities and I've gone through Novocaine and all of that, but I've never been afraid of the dentist until my regular dentist decided he was going to retire. How dare him? And he sold his practice to a woman who was considerably younger than him, and what I learned was considerably less experienced. So I go in for a regular cleaning, and it turns out, according to her, I have all these issues that I didn't know that I had, that my other dentist never identified as problems. So I trusted her as a professional. The big things that she said that I had wrong were that I had old fillings that needed to be replaced. And that was pretty much gonna be it. So I was like, okay, cool, we'll do that. That sounds fine. So I schedule appointments back to back. That was what they had recommended. So it was 2 days in a row. So one day I was getting a tooth done on my right side, and then the next day I get 2 teeth done on my left side, just right in a row back to back. So I go in for the first appointment, and it took longer than I expected. It took about an hour for her to remove my old filling and put in a new one. That night I was in kind of some pain. I was a little uncomfortable, and that was unusual for me, but I didn't think too much of it. I just was like, okay, well, I guess maybe it was just a little deeper than I had expected. The procedure was kind of long, so maybe that was what it was. So when I went in the next day, I mentioned it to her, and she said, oh, that's totally normal. One thing I didn't do the first day was set myself up with something to listen to, because I was expecting it to be, oh, by the way, this is the Milani Supercharged. This is the under eye tint. It's not a full coverage thing. It's really just a color corrector. So it took significantly longer than I had expected. So I asked her before I left the day before, I said, you know, how long do you think the procedure tomorrow is going to take? And she said, probably about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes max. This is for 2 teeth, mind you, 2 teeth. So I said, okay. So what I did was I loaded up my ASMR playlist. If you don't know ASMR, go down the rabbit hole. You'll either be completely disgusted or you'll love it, one or the other. So I loaded up my playlist with familiar ASMR videos that I've watched a million times. I know the format of them. I've listened to them so many times so that I could kind of keep track of the time. They're very long videos, so I knew, you know, when this video kicked on, it had been 45 minutes. When this video kicked on, it had been an hour and 15 minutes. Like, I had it all set in my head so that I could make it through without having to ask what time it was or how much longer, because that wasn't gonna be possible. I go in the next day, you know, I see my favorite dental hygienist. Her name's Angel. She's amazing, still amazing. Say hi to Angel, go over, sit down, and she gets started. And the first thing I noticed right away is that she wasn't allowing for any kind of breaks. Even after my mouth was open for an entire hour, she just kept going and never allowed me to close my mouth. There wasn't one of those plastic things, the rubber thing, whatever you call it, where you can kind of bite down and relax your jaw. No, my mouth was, I had to hold my mouth open the entire time. So my playlist is going, and I'm like, okay, we should be almost done. And then it goes beyond the time of my playlist. And I'm like, okay, well, we should just be able to get through. The next video is like 20 minutes long. I know this from memory. So it should be done by the time this video is over. Long story short, way too late. it didn't end there. I was sitting there for about 3 hours, just getting 2 teeth worked on. This is the flower setting powder by Beauty Bakery. At one point she had to go check on another patient, and she gave me about a, I don't know, 5-minute break, something like that, before she went back in. So in the entire 3 hours, I had my mouth open for 2 hours and 55 minutes. It was awful. It was a very miserable experience. It was one of the longest 3 hours of my entire life. I would say it felt longer than when I was giving birth to my children. It was terrible. Because at least when you're giving birth to a child, you have something exciting to look forward to. But what I didn't realize that I was going to be looking forward to was 3 root canals. Because in the period of time that she was digging into my teeth for all those hours, she had dug very deep, and she had basically killed my teeth to the point where I would need root canals. Now, in her defense, it is possible that there was a lot of decay that she wasn't expecting underneath my old cavity and had to dig it out for all 3 of them, and that's why the procedure took so long and all of that. But there was no communication about what was happening, why it was taking so long, all of that. It was already a bad experience leaving the office, and then I was in so much pain afterward, just agonizing pain. I wasn't able to eat. I was just absolutely miserable.
Oh my gosh. The dentist was a freaking nightmare today. It was so bad. I don't know if you can see how irritated my lips are, but like, they did not look like that yesterday. Like, it was awful. She was like taking the tool, like the drill or whatever, and leaning it against my lip, like right here, and pushing my lip against my tooth. And like, it was uncomfortable. The woman that was assisting her was very, very nice. She's been doing it for like decades. But she had this like tongue depressor. Oh my gosh, the more I'm talking, I haven't talked that much. I can feel nerves lighting up in my teeth. She had this like wooden tongue depressor and was pressing it like here against my mouth, and it was like cutting into my mouth. And then at one point, one point she choked me with the freaking mirror. Like I felt it going down my throat, and I like literally gagged because she like put the mirror down my throat. I was like, is today your first day? Like, what is even happening? But like, I just like, this is the most I've talked. So like I can feel like my nerves lighting up in my teeth right now. So I'm going to finish this up because that's not feeling great. So yeah, I'm going to stop talking because I can feel my nerves lighting up down here. I had 2 down here and 1 up here that needed to be replaced. And she said there was like cavity underneath my filling. It sucks. Oh, I hate life right now. I'm going to go back to researching and not talking. I love you, friend.
Okay, believe it or not, I'm actually feeling a little bit better. This ice pack is life. I got these reusable ice packs for shipping my marshmallows. So when I ship to places like Texas, they don't come all melted like they did for Jen. Hers were horribly melted. But yeah, so I got like 92 more of these marshmallows. I got like 92 of these ice packs, and they could not have come at a better time because it has seriously made me feel so much better. Like, I don't know if it's just time that's making me feel better or if it's the ice, but I have a feeling the ice is contributing. I want to go to bed now. I'm sure I look ridiculous. Have a good sleep, my friend. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
So I called the office the next morning, and she said, well, you know, that sometimes happens with dental work. Give me a call back if you're not feeling better in a week. All right, fine. So I call back in a week, and she says, it sounds like you're probably gonna need root canals. I'm like, fabulous. Eyeshadow primer, I'm gonna use the Milani eyeshadow primer, and then after that, I'm gonna use the I Love palette by Sephora brand. It's a great natural palette for doing like everyday makeup kinds of stuff. And then I'm gonna top that off with a little bit of Sydney Grace. This is their liquid shadow in the shade Vibrant Madness. So after being in pain for about a week, calling her back, I make an appointment with the dental surgeon that's going to do my root canals and all of that. And it takes another 2 weeks to get that appointment. So for 3 weeks, I was in extreme pain in my mouth. It was absolutely awful. I couldn't eat right. I was in constant pain. Medicine only helped some, but not all. And it was pretty miserable. By the time I got to the surgeon's office, I was an emotional wreck and I had my first panic attack. At the time, I had never had a panic attack before. Oh my gosh, that looks terrible. This brush is gigantic. I'm so focused on my story, I'm not focusing on which brush I'm grabbing. All right, let's try this one. As he's about to go in and start the procedure, I couldn't breathe. All of a sudden, I just could not breathe. I felt like my chest was tight and like I was having a heart attack. And I literally couldn't get air into my lungs. And it was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying because I'd never been through something like that before. I had never ever had a problem. I was so scared, but they of course had seen it before. They knew how to handle me. The office was very professional and kind, and they kind of let me go through it. And then they did the procedure. The dentist was super nice. It was all good. Everything was fine. So that all went well, but I had had my first panic attack. And what I didn't know was those panic attacks were going to continue every time I went to the dentist for a while. At this point, my children and my husband had appointments coming up with the new dentist. It would have been their first appointments. And I called and I canceled those appointments. Well, I didn't cancel them right away. I was going to let my kids get their teeth cleaned by Angel because Angel's amazing. I did not want them to do any kind of work. As long as that woman kept her hands off my children, then I was going to be fine. But I told her I would not be going back to the office at all. And that after these appointments, my children and my husband would not be going back either. I get a phone call back, I guess it was maybe the next day, from the dentist. And she was pissed at me. She said to me, and it was something like this, I cannot quote directly, but essentially, I did a fantastic job on your teeth and you set me back the entire day. I spent so much time with you that I was behind the whole rest of the day because of your procedure. And I understand her frustration that she hadn't set aside enough time to work on my teeth. But what it made me feel like is that she was blaming me for how long the procedure took, which I don't think was fair and I don't think was kind or appropriate to do. And me being somebody that is constantly blaming myself for everything, even things that aren't my fault, I was very upset by this. And I ended up crying on the phone because when I get upset, when I get teary, it's over, it's done. Like, I can't control it, I can't hold it back, the tears are coming, and there's nothing that I can do. What I should have done is I should have just hung up with her and said, I need to go, I can't talk to you anymore, and hung up. But I was very, very upset. This is the Hindash Hero Line Eyeliner. It's freaking fabulous. I'm gonna follow that up with the Fenty Beauty Mascara. I ended up canceling my family's appointments because I really just didn't want them to have to deal with even seeing her. I didn't want her around my family. I didn't want them to even have a chance of having any kind of negative experience. So I ended up canceling those appointments. I talked to my next door neighbor about what had happened and my panic attack and everything. My next door neighbor is a radiologist. She said, well, I actually have a dentist recommendation for you. Totally just messed that up. She said, I have a dentist recommendation for you, but I'm a little bit biased because his son is married to my husband's daughter. It's they have children from different marriages. She said, but if you want to go see him, he's been doing it for a really long time and I think you'd really like him. So I made an appointment with him and he is now my permanent dentist. I go in for my first appointment with him and they were very lovely, but I did have a panic attack. And I had panic attacks for the next 3 or 4 appointments that I went in because the root canals that I had gotten needed crowns. And I was not going back to the other dentist to get my crowns and I needed someone to do crowns on my teeth. He was so wonderful and they were so patient with me as I had my panic attacks. Once I realized that the procedures didn't take as long, I realized the biggest thing I was afraid of was the Novocaine shots. The teeth that she had worked on, all 3 of them were essentially, they were no more good. And she destroyed those teeth. So I had to get extensive work done on the 3 teeth that she had worked on. So now is where I get to tell you the things that have helped me to not have panic attacks anymore. Again, I'm only 2 visits in, but I'm pretty confident that the panic attacks might be done. I don't have any kind of panic disorder. I don't have any diagnosed anxiety or depression or anything like that. So you may be, if you're watching this and thinking about yourself, you may have a more severe case than I do, and these may not work as well as they did for me. But the best things that I did, number one, was just making sure I knew before the procedure started about how long it was going to take and what exactly he was going to do. Was I going to get Novocaine? What was I going to have to do during the procedure? What were the steps of it? Also, one of the big things was after I had my first panic attack, they passed me a stress ball. They actually keep them in each of the different little cubicle things, the little offices where they have all the different patients. They keep one in there, and that stress ball helped me so much, just having something to squeeze, especially when the Novocaine was going in, really helped me so much. And for the past couple of appointments, the ones that I have not had panic attacks, the biggest thing I've done on the way over there is instead of letting myself freak out, instead of letting myself get into a negative headspace, I say to myself, what is having a panic attack going to do to help you? It's only going to make the procedure longer. So calm yourself down, take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. He's already proven to you he's not going to hurt you. He's not going to keep your mouth open for 3 hours. The trauma that you had is over. He is not going to treat you that way. And I think it was convincing myself that this new dentist wasn't the same as the one that had given me the trauma that caused the panic attacks. All right, this is the Rare Beauty blush in Nearly Apricot. And then I'm going to follow it up. Where's my lips? Lips, where did you go? This one right here. This is the Hershey Kisses Milk Chocolate Lip Gloss by Glamlight. This is the shade of the Rare Beauty blush. Oh, this blush is not the right shade. I should have done like more of a pinky one. Crap. Well, maybe I'll put this on and then I'll add something else on top of it. Oh, that looks fine. It looks okay. But honestly, I have to tell you, the biggest difference was the way that the staff there treated me and made me feel like if I had to have a panic attack, if that was something that was going to naturally happen, that it was okay and that they were going to give me a space, a free, safe space to kind of freak out. And that, I wasn't disturbing anybody. I was very quietly having my panic attack. I wasn't like screaming or anything. But they were going to give me a safe place to be until I felt okay enough for the procedure to happen. And honestly, that I think has made the biggest difference. I went in yesterday to have a crown put on the last tooth that she had wrecked. And I'd asked him beforehand, I said, how long do you think the procedure is going to take? And he said 57 minutes. And I was like, 57 minutes? I was like, exactly. I said, because if it's at 58, I'm going to have some complaints. We had a little joke back and forth. Ended up taking him. He asked the person that was assisting him, how long did it take? And she's like, 46 minutes. And we're like, yeah, we had that little celebration moment and it was very sweet and fun. But I think the moral of the story, I didn't do my brows yet. The moral of the story for me was that I just needed to find a dentist. And this is, again, just my experience. I had to find a dentist that I knew wasn't going to cause additional trauma. That was number one. Number two was getting myself in the right mindset for the procedure and making sure that I was ready for it and that I had self-talked myself as positively as possible. And then the other thing was just very simple, having something to squeeze instead of just balling my fist. Having something physical there really makes a huge difference for me. The last thing I wanted to mention as far as strategies for me, let me get brows. This is the Makeup by Mario Pencil in Deep Brunette. The other thing that I think was really, really important was to make sure that I had good communication with everybody involved in my procedure so I knew exactly what was gonna happen. Now, some people, like he was telling me, he's like, some people, it's better if you just surprise them, like if they don't know the Novocaine's coming and you just like do it and then they're like, oh my gosh, here it is. I don't like that. I don't like anybody sneaking up on me. Like I wanna know what's happening. I wanna know when it's happening so I can be prepared for any pain that I might have. And I will tell you, yesterday's Novocaine was the best Novocaine experience I have ever had. I legit hardly felt anything. I didn't feel the needle going in. I felt a little bit of the fluid going in, a little tiny pinchy feeling, but it wasn't bad at all. Like at all. I'm gonna brush this through. Woo, 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 woo. All right, let me zoom out and we'll talk final thoughts. Of course, mental health is very unique to each individual individual person. Nobody is going to have the same solutions as another person. But when I started experiencing this anxiety, I really felt like I was alone until I went to Twitter and other people were telling me how terrified they are to go to the dentist. And it's a very natural, normal fear. So if you feel like you're alone in that fear, you're not. But the problem with being afraid of the dentist is that the more you wait to get procedures done, the worse they can get over time. So it's better to go in as early as possible to take care of any problems that you have so you don't have to go in more. The more you put it off, the worse it's going to get. And that can cause anxiety just in itself. So just breathing and maybe just going in for a consult. Just say, you know what? I don't want any work done. I just want to know what's going on. So realistically, so no Novocaine, no poking, no prodding, none of that. Like you don't want any of that. You just want somebody to give you just a pain-free, like tell them you have anxiety or you have an issue and you just want to kind of see what's happening. You know, get a basic cleaning or whatever it is that will cause you very little to no pain, and then see where you go from there. And then just taking it one step at a time as far as what procedure you're going to go in for next if you have multiple things like I did. Oh my gosh, my hair is a mess. What just happened there? I think it was the headband. Hairspray, stat! Oh no, I'm out of hairspray. No, it's empty. Oh wait, there it is. A little bit. Okay, I need new hairspray. If you do have a fear of the dentist, just know that you are not alone, and I hope with all of my heart and soul that you are able to find strategies that work for you so that you can take care of your health, because taking care of your teeth is really important. And I am just very, very thankful that I was able to find an office that was able to help me with my dental work and help me to not have panic attacks anymore. At this point, my friend, it is your turn, where we usually call the collective brain of makeup awesomeness, where we help each other not to buy crap. But in this kind of situation, I would really like us to talk about when we've had to deal with anxiety or panic attacks and what strategies that we've used in the past that have helped us to do better in those situations, because every person is unique. Everybody's situation is unique. Everybody's anxiety and their stress about different situations is unique. So I think we can have a really great conversation down below and hopefully learn from each other. And I hopefully will be able to pick up some tips from you down in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you found it interesting and helpful. And if you would like to hang out a little bit longer, YouTube should be recommending a couple videos for you right over here to watch. But if it is your time to go, it is no problem at all. Thank you so much for hanging out as long as you did. And mad love to you. And I will see you in a video very, very soon.